everybody, and welcome back. We're going to get to the next step, which is going to be step 8. It's going to be steering. So I'm going to get this camera turned around to POV view, and we're going to get bag G, which is the steering, and we're going to get started. Okay, so this is going to be step 8 in my e-buggy build series. It's going to get on to the steering, which let's go ahead and get some parts out. We'll be opening bag G. So this has all the steering parts, including the steering servo, steering post, and even the center brace. We'll get this and the top place too. We'll move the brace and the top plate out of the way. Let's start getting the steering components together. Okay, so it comes with this nice aluminum piece and the plastic piece as well. We'll go ahead and get all our bags open first and get our screws out. It's got this dust cover that goes over the spring. I don't use that. It's more of a pain than anything. Got our bag with screws and spacers. I'm going to start with, excuse me, we'll start with the steering posts. Go ahead and clean these screws off. These have to be good and tight with a decent amount of Loctite too, because they will work their way loose. So I'll go ahead and coat them just a little bit. Okay, so the steering post sits down in this little recessed groove here. So we'll go ahead and get the screw started, and then press the steering shaft down into its groove. And tighten the screw down. Give it a good little tug. Sometimes you can start through and spin it on by hand. Yeah, that's a little easier. And push it down into its groove and crank the screw down. A little extra. Okay. Steering servo saver. This is the post that goes on the right side or left side. Go ahead and pop the bearings in it. This is the piece. It goes like this. This is the piece that goes to the Ackerman. So I like to go ahead and feed down there, put just a tiny touch of Loctite on there. Now these things are super tight and hard to get started. So go ahead and start our set screw in there. A little touch of Loctite. Okay, so then push down These are hard to get started, hard to crank down. So push down like that and then crank as much as you can by hand. I like to run these almost locked down. I've got a special set of pliers I use that's got plastic on them. Grab those and crank it on down. Things up a little bit. A lot of people ask where to set these. I pretty much almost run them locked down. That's about all I can get out of it. If you were to measure the top, 1.69. I think there might be a little more. .80. Now go ahead and crank down the set screw. And that's pretty much locked down. So that's really all there is to that. Okay, so this is going to set on the post like so. Your Ackerman bar is going to go this way. This gets the bearing on top and bottom. That may fall out, but okay, let's go ahead and, yep, so there it falls out. Sometimes it's best just go ahead and put it on the post. So this piece goes in from the bottom, the bushing. Alright, and these two screws that go in the bushing, we're going to need a little Loctite. That's enough for both of them, really. Okay, so go ahead and tighten this down. And I don't remember the size. Yep. That's 7mm. Go ahead and give it a pretty good crank. This will be free because it's spaced just right to where it'll stay free. Okay, so repeat that on the left side of the car. Okay, so now we can slide this onto the car. Okay, now this usually get a little bit of a rub right here. So I like to take my Dremel, stick these back out. I'd get my Dremel and get a little bit of material off right here. Then I'll take the tiny bit right here. Doesn't take much, and it'll clearance up a little more once you put the chassis brace on there. Okay, so we're going to slide these back on. Pop our bearings back in. And we're nice and free now. Okay, so next, I like to go ahead and put the chassis brace in. Then we'll do our steering links. Okay, for the chassis links, the chassis brace, you've got ball end. So we're going to have one going up. Handy dandy HB tool. Remember, always punch these in from the shiny side. See the shiny side there? Okay. These are going to screw in. Let's go ahead and get our boring tool and open these up to get them started. Go ahead and crank your own down. Okay, now these are going to be opposite one another. Or no, they're not. They're both going to be facing up, so make sure they're twisted both the same. Okay, then we get a button head screw, the longer one, with a washer. Actually, the other way. Button head goes through the top first, then through the flat side of the ball, then your washer, and a nut. This is something you want to check from time to time. I like using the stock brace. They make some aftermarket braces that are stronger, but that's just it. They may be a little too strong. I like using the stock brace because it leaves us just a bit of flex in the chassis. The only thing I don't like about it is these little ball ends will break every now and then. So keep a couple extra on hand and check that periodically, because they'll break right here at the small part. And it's best just to keep an eye on it. Okay, now I think I might have to take this back off. Okay, so yeah. So we're going to take this center cover back off and assemble this. So we'll go ahead and back off. Take these completely out. Just back these off pretty good. So this is going to go like so, but you want to put the button head from the bottom with the washer, because there's not going to be enough clearance for the outdrive. So then you get your nut here. Now you can slide it right into place. I would recommend go ahead and leave these loose, because you're going to have to do the same thing in the rear. We'll just go ahead and get them started. Okay, so next we need to snap our front plate in and snap over these steering posts. Make sure you're still free here. Okay, now these button heads are going in the metal, so I like to put a tiny bit of Loctite on them. Now we'll tend to run these in by hand. Okay, so next our button heads. They're in the plastic, so they won't get Loctite. Okay, so we'll go ahead and finish those off by hand. There's also a couple of aluminum top plate options. They look really cool. They do make a change in the car. I like running the stock one. Sometimes I'll switch to the other one Exotech makes one that's really cool looking. I love it, but it does make the car a little more aggressive. So for the most part, I don't run them. I may change to it from time to time if I want to change the setup for the heck of it. Okay, so now we can put our steering links on. So let's dig those out. And remember again, left side. Okay, so you're going to have a flathead screw on the inside, flathead screw, and I use 2 shims. I say these thickness, I think these are 1 millimeter. Yeah, 1 millimeter shims. I use 2 1 millimeter shims on the inside and the outside. Goes from the bottom, and a nut. Then this one goes from the top, 2 1 millimeter shims, and the center hole on the steering plate. That's what's in the way I run it. I've never really experimented anything other than that. Might be in the near future though. So we'll go ahead and torque these down. Okay, we're going to repeat this process. Go through the bottom. Oop, that's the wrong side. Again, make sure your line is on the left side of the car. I'll do it backwards. Screw, then 2 1 millimeter shims through the Ackerman bar. One thing I should have mentioned, on the nitro car, you have to do some trimming on the inside to keep from hitting the outdrive piece. It sticks out further in the nitro car. So what I do, I like to use the Truggy one. The Truggy uses a black one that's got 2 holes in it actually for another tuning option. But the bushings are captured and they're chamfered, so they clear that center piece better. So I only use that on the nitro car, but it is definitely nice. So like this, you go through the top, 2 washers, center hole on the steering plate. Okay, so we got a few extra shims to add to my collection. Got all these extra pieces over here, get ready to go in the parts bin. Okay, so there you have it. Make sure everything's nice and free, feels good, no binding or no catches or anything. That'll conclude the steering section, part number 8. So we'll get this out of the way. It's really starting to come together now. Okay, so there you have it. That's part number 8. We got our front end completely assembled with our steering and everything. So next up, part 9 should be starting on the rear. I'll check the book and see if I'm going in the right order. Try to stay in order without getting too complicated. Next up, we'll go to the rear end. Get the rear. I'll probably already have the diff in the housing. I talked about the shimming. I may go over it one more time, but we'll make sure that gets all squared away. And next one up should be rear end. Hope you enjoyed this. We're going to keep this going. The next up will be part 9. So make sure you subscribe, like, and share the channel, and hit that subscribe button and the notification button, and we'll see you next time.